Hello Floss Tube, welcome back to my wee world. This is a channel about cross stitch, a little bit of quilting and sharing some of my vintage treasures and sewing finds that I find along the way. First of all, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Aka the crazy hat, which is not what I walk around the streets wearing, but just for the laugh, and because I'm filming a video, I grabbed the little hat. It's not green, I just stuck an elasticated bow on it because I was visiting my osteopath the other day, and there was a wee shop that was open that you could take an appointment and go in the door, and there wasn't many in the shop, and I just popped in and it was full of odds and ends kind of a shop. It's called Kik over here, K-I-K. And I just popped in because I was half an hour early, and it was right next door. So yeah, and saw the little hat and thought, okay, and saw the bow and stuck a bow on it and stuck a ribbon and dangly little ribbon bit at the end, and just for the crack, why not? Happy St. Patrick's Day. It's a bit different this year. You know, normally on St. Patrick's Day, we'd, even in Germany here, gang of us would maybe go to the pub, an Irish pub somewhere, or Berlin also used to do a St. Patrick's Day parade, a little one. There were always little events, but not this year, but hey ho. So I thought I'd make a little bit of an effort and pulled out a green dress, which is really cute, but it's more of a summery dress with the lace in the sleeves, and so I put a top on underneath. And just for the crack, thought I'd throw a hat on. I don't know how long the hat will last in the video, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, so happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone all over the world. Use the excuse to have a day to celebrate and enjoy the green. Enjoy celebrating along with us Irish. Wherever you are, you're always welcome. And to all my family and friends everywhere, all over the world, in the States. I've got lots of family in the States, and extended family, and WhatsApp's been going crazy today with all the happy St. Patrick's Day messages and everything else. And yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. So where am I now? This video, yeah, it's I've had about an hour before I've got one or two friends popping over, or one friend to collect a laptop he's been setting up, and so I won't keep it as long as the last one. And apologies again for all the waffling. It was 20 minutes I was talking about teeth and internet and everything. I near died, but I didn't want to edit it because I'm not the best. I've only edited it once, and I'm not the best at like trying to piece things together. So I just let it up and roll. So thank you for everyone that was bearing with me until the end. And I must admit, I have to laugh. It's like ever since I started working on Lucky Days, which is behind me, they've finished stitching, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Whether it's talking about leprechauns or thinking about St. Patrick's Day, but my accent seems to be getting more and more Irish. I have no idea where that's coming from. I might have said in another video that I do pick up accents really easily. So if I'm talking to somebody from the UK, I'll pick up their accent within half an hour, or Australia or America. And for some reason, working on Lucky Days for St. Patrick's Day, the accent seems to be coming out. So if you do ever hear different accents, that's just that's just me, the way my mind or my hearing seems to pick things up. It's not putting anything on, it just is the way it goes. Oh lordy, I'm crying with laughter already, but I was crying. I did watch the video back, and I was thinking, oh my God, take it down, Martina, because, excuse me, because of the state of it. But then I thought, oh, well, you know, hey ho, it's anyone that knows me knows that, yeah, you never know what you're really going to get. So, first things first, right, yes, I have teeth. And I mean, I had teeth last video as well. I was going to do a video on, now this video might be a bit scatty because I've only made a couple of short notes. But I think it's better if I possibly don't plan too much, because the more that I plan and write down notes exactly point for point, the less that I kind of just relax. So I just thought, yeah, just go with it a wee bit more. And you can always point out any kind of, you know, improvements you think you might be better. By all means, phrase them nicely in the comments below, by all means. But yes, I got back to the dentist, and last Tuesday, I think it was, yeah. And he put the teeth on. So what it is basically is that I was, as I briefly mentioned, not to go into all the details, but my front teeth were really wearing really thin, to the point that they were like grey and clear and brown. So I went to the dentist to discuss, because I had a coating on one of them before, to get that renewed, that maybe put the front two teeth, you know, put another layer of a kind of a coating over it. And the dentist, he's a new dentist, and he was having none of it, and he said no. He goes, you need something that's a bit stronger. And I'm not going talking about this for 15 minutes, so don't worry. But to cut a long story short, he said you need a veneer, and I'm like, veneers? Oh, that's what all the posh ones and all the movie stars have in Hollywood and all the rest of it. And he was laughing, and he went, yeah, but yours are more that, like, you don't want to be grinding your front teeth away, backs and everything else to pieces. I think that's going to be the option, and the should last for 10 to 15 years, hopefully. And that's why it took so long with the health insurance back and forth, because it's not a cosmetic thing, though it is kind of nice, I must admit. It was actually because my teeth were getting so transparent in the front, and they were bugging me. And yeah, I suppose you could say it's a little bit vain. I mean, as long as you've got teeth, that's the main thing. But when you kind of get grey shadows and stuff, and yeah, so to cut a long story short, anyway, we got them done, and I have a couple of veneers on a couple of teeth at the front, and the rest are all my own. So there's no as long as they're staying there, that's good. I try to take good care of them. And he put them on, and we went a little bit whiter, because I thought, well, if you're going to do it and you have to go and get a veneer, you might as well try and go, a bit whiter on the top at least. So but I have teeth again, which is good. I mean, I had teeth, but I've got teeth. The nice thing about veneers is it's not like a crown that you've left with a wee stump. Most of your teeth in place. It's really just cemented on. But he did close in a little gap that was on the side where I'd pulled two wisdom teeth on this side, and the teeth shifted, and then they kind of moved around. There was a wee bit of a gap, so he closed up the gap. So anyway, enough about teeth, because teeth have nothing to do with cross stitch unless I decide a chart for dentists or something. But yeah, but keep it real, be honest. There's no point. I don't see the point of pretending or saying anything else. This is the way it is. And yeah, I've got some nice front teeth, and all the other teeth are all crooked, and everything else is grand. I mean, the front teeth were always thanks to my mum and dad, that got me with braces on my front teeth when I was young. They were relatively straight anyway. I had terrible buck teeth. I was tormented as a child. Children can be awful cruel. It was like, all the names under the sun when I was younger. But then I got braces and they got better. But so, yeah, so teeth done. So that's the dentist thing. Enough talking. Where are we? 9 minutes. Not too bad. Good. I'm looking at my notes. Just little bullet points. Long arming. I thought I'd have it finished. The little quilt that Tina sent over that we're doing for Australia Aid, which is a year late. I've got it on the long arm. It was lovely, great getting that up. And I posted a picture of it just loaded on Instagram. If you want to go over to Instagram, Expanding Stitches, you'll see some photos. I have to get better with Instagram, as I said before. I'm a bit once a week, I'm kind of posting a photo, and I still haven't posted the new photos of Lucky Day stitched up. But Tina's quilt, I've done all the way around. I've done what I wanted. I didn't want to over quilt too much because it's hand guided custom quilting. And I didn't want to over quilt it. It's not very large. It's like a little lap baby quilt, let's say, cot size. And I'd done all the right around the edges, and then there was 2 strips sort of stashing in the middle. And I was chalking out a few ideas, and I wasn't sure, and now I think I know what I want to go, because he wanted to kind of like set out. So that'll be finished, and then I'll chuck a bit of binding on, and I'll be able to show it in the next video, because he did a lovely job. We sent the blocks over that people had sent me. I had a big box full of blocks, and people from before, and I sent some of the blocks over to different people, and they made up quilts for the Australia aid for the bushfires. So they'll be like over a year late, but then maybe that's just as nice. They might be relocated in their new homes. They might have their old home sorted, and then they're going to have a wee cuddle quilt to keep them happy. So I'm not, as Anna said, or I mentioned in my last video, we probably couldn't have posted them anyway. So, you know, and then with fabric and everything else. So if they're late, better late than never. And perfect is better than done is also another great quilting phrase. Never be afraid to give things a go. And same with cross stitch. You know, I've seen lots of comments on my Instagram and on the YouTube videos about beginner cross stitches. Oh, don't cross stitchers, give it a go. You know, you'll learn loads and you'll get better and better as you go along. And I am not an expert in cross stitch. I'm pretty good in quilting. I'll say that much. I spent a year researching before and learning and trying and doing. So quilting, I can quite happily have a good discussion with anyone. Cross stitch, no, I'm not an expert. Variegated flosses, I don't match up the lines. I kind of just chop the end of the classic colorworks and pull the strands, and I quite like that effect. And I like Ada, I like Jobelin, I like Lugana, I like linen, I like everything as regards, and I even like fabrics that you don't actually even know if they're even weaves or not, but sure, just have a bit of fun and enjoy it. So long arming, yes, so there's only a wee bit more to do in the middle, and then I'm going to do a wee bit of filler in and a couple of little swirls in the end, and then pop the binding on, and I'll show you that little one, because there've been a couple of people saying that they'd like to see a bit of quilting, and there'll be plenty of that in the future, and I might even do a couple of extra videos that are more about quilting for any of the cross stitchers that aren't so keen. But the quilting stuff will always be at the end anyway, so you know, you can always stop the video when you're fed, you know, you're fed up with this, I was about to say, but yeah, well, you could be. But anyway, with all my babbling, so that long arming, right, next thing. Yes, FFO, I have one, and I'm not the fastest stitcher. I might try and join in Mania and do lots of new starts. I think it could be good fun in May, even though, God forbid, it'll be like a couple of stitches here and a couple of stitches there, but it would be good for me to get started on stuff, I think, because I think I could tend to be a monogamous stitcher. And I didn't get anything done at all in the last week on Birdsong 2. I wanted to, and then I didn't. I spent all my time trying to get Lucky Days finished, but I am delighted, and I'll show you with it on that. But I did do the FFOing. I had showed you the wee circle of Blackbird Designs October 31st. And my idea worked out well, but because all the shops were closed, I had hoped on getting a wee wooden frame that would fit for I wanted, and before I went online, and even Amazon over here, Amazon, it's a bit slow at the moment. They're like, you know, even with Prime, you're a bit they're a bit slower than they normally would be, that you'd get it within 3 days. It's kind of dragging out a week. So I just happened to be in the drugstore again, and which is like cosmetic washing powders, kind of, that's what we call a sort of a drugstore, shampoo, shower gels, that kind of thing, which is DM. And in their little photo section, because I went to see if I could get any more of the wee magnetic holder hanging things in there, and they were all sold out of that particular, sorry, sniffles, I'm still giggling about, and when I start giggling, my nose starts running and my eyes start going funny. But there was none of them left, and but what I did find was a copper frame, and I could show you the back of it. It was this brightly copper frame. There was gold ones, but I was lucky I got the only copper frame one. But I thought it would be a wee bit glitzy, and I didn't really want a glitzy look. Oh gosh, now it's moved out. Hang on a second, bear with me. Oh, and she slipped. Typical, I turn it upside down and it all moves. Now, isn't that just the way of things when you're doing it? But sure, what the dickens, is like keeping it real. I'll have to do a wee bit more tweaking with this one, I think, with the, oh yeah, okay, that's a bit better. I didn't want it getting back to where we were after fixing this, which you'll see in a minute. I didn't want it to be glitzy in a sense. I like the glam look. I love Art Deco. I'm a massive Art Deco fan. My flat isn't Art Deco. It's a mixture of everything. Where I live at the moment, my home, I love vintage. Up in this area is kind of my vintage area, which is my sort of mini library. It's mezzanine, mini library, this little corner where I film, where I have all little nooks and little knickknacks and nice places to display. And then in my living room, I have more or less things I've collected from my travels. I love wood sculptures. I adore them. So wherever I go to a country, I tend to, when I can travel off the beaten track, I love hand carvings and wood carvings. And whatever country I go to, I always try to find not a tourist one, but one that's really handcrafted, or, you know, the workmanship is there. And yeah, so, but I do love a little bit of bling, and I love dressing up as well. I mean, I go to the Festival of Quilts and dressing up and just wandering around looking. I love wearing dresses. I'm a real dress girl. Not so much in winter. I'm a jumper and pullover and every kind of person. Anyway, stop all the babbling, talking about me and nonsense. It's not going to interest anyone. So this is October 31st from Blackbird Design, and my wee finish. Don't know if you like it. If you like it, comment below, please. And please do subscribe. I'm nearly at 700 subscribers. I'd love to get there. I thought it was, and then I think maybe somebody unsubscribed. I don't know. Maybe they hit the button by mistake. Please do subscribe and hit the little notifications bell, and then that'll pop up in your notifications, like the people I follow. I see when a floss tube comes up, or another video that I like, and then it'll let you know when I have a video up. And I will try to get better. I'm going to try to get down to once a week. I haven't got the set routine yet organized, but I will do in the future. So if you hit the notification bell, at least then you'll know, rather than being trying to see who is she and has she put anything up. So this is October 31st, my refinish. And what I did was, as I said, I darkened down the frame, but I left it kind of scrappy, that you see a little bit of the copper coming through. So you can see the way it was originally, minus the scribbles, which I'll talk about in a second. Let me just go forward. See how glitzy that is? Well, I didn't really want it to be glitzy because it's Halloween. And I showed the batik in the last video that I was thinking of using, and that was the wee finish. So go back to the other video where I talk about it. It's a wee Pringles lid. And then I put a wee bit of the trim that I talk about in the last video as well. So please go back and watch that too, around the corner. And then I'm a massive fan of batik fabric, which is used in quilting and in other things. They're handmade in everywhere from Bali to Indonesia or wherever. And being a quilter, I could probably say those are one of my absolute favorites. I'm a sucker for a good batik. It's a very fine mesh though. It's nearly like your top bed sheets, so stitching with it isn't always easy enough on a oh, here we go again. It's gone, the beads moved. All right, okay, I need to get better glue. Yeah, well, the beads moved, okay, that are stuck in the corner. So say la vie, you see, keeping it real. But anyway, so the bead is now popped down, but it'll be inset down a little bit. So there was a gap in the frame, which you could see that it kind of like insets in. The wee bead is dropped down that is stuck in the corner. You can, I know you can get little foam squares. Oh, so the whole thing is moving now. There's the bead. Look, well, that didn't work out so well. And the bead's fallen out. There you go. Right, keeping it real. I stuck a bead in a corner last night because I finished it last night trying to get it to go flat. Let me just get the other wee bead out. Oh, we've got all of them coming out now. Okay, well, this is a bit of a disaster. Well, right, that sticky, double-sided sticky tape isn't as sticky as I'd like then. But then saying this, we learn, don't we? So there's my other wee bead. Let's get this out. Right, there you go. Now, this wasn't planned, but I'm not editing the video. So I'd put these little beads in the corners thinking it would pop in, stay in, and obviously it hasn't. And I used a double-sided quilter's tape, sticky tape, but obviously that's not enough to keep the wee inset in. But sure, while we're at it, let's keep it real. So this is what I did. All right, this is different to what I planned, but honey games, this is what I did. I stuck the bands of the double-sided tape in, and this is the little insert I had done, but I had put it on the back because I wasn't sure initially what I wanted to do. And it's cardstock, quite matte board. And what I did with this was, I showed in the last video, I'd done the wee circle on the, oh my God, my mascara's running. Heavens above. Oh, well, never mind. I had done the lacing on this and showed that. And then what I did was I cut out a wee circle and covered it with a batik that I thought would pull out some of the purple in this, and just glued it to the back of the card, and then glued it onto the square of this, which was the batik stuck onto the matte board. There's no wadding in any of this because I didn't want that. I wanted it more flat, like a three-dimensional effect like you get. And then I found the frame, and the idea is now, and I'll obviously rectify the situation, as they say, that it'll sit in here and you'll have a little bit of a 3D kind of effect going through. But at least the frame fit and it's nice and you can prop it up, which is lovely. So yeah, that's it. But my little idea of the bead in the corners didn't work, and I've obviously got to get a bit better with the glue. But then what I did was I went in my bead box, so I'll pull this out of here so you can see a little bit better. I went to my bead box and I found a little black bead and this lovely purpley beads that I had. And they were actually off a necklace. One of the cheapy necklaces you get in department stores that and the lighting is going a bit funny because the sun's going down, but I've got the other evening lights on, so hopefully they'll kind of compensate once the bright light goes down. There's no blinds or anything on the windows over here. Germany generally doesn't be bothered about curtains or blinds. I have curtains in the bedroom, but in the living room it's like, yeah, no, you don't need to worry. It's like nobody's going to be looking in windows. You can do anything over here. Nobody pay a blind bit of heed. But so I found that purpley bead, and I just did 3 on the top and 1 underneath for like, 31st, which is what I was thinking. And this bow, I think, came off chocolate or something, I don't know. And I just popped it in behind, and I glued the wee round circle disc of the batik onto this one. And then I thought, okay, I'll pop it in the frame, and it will look nice now that I'll get it rectified again, and it'll sit in there. So it's October 31st, but I think it's lovely. And I like the fact the frame is just, it's dark, but not jet black, not shiny. It's got the little scuff marks of the copper coming through, but I didn't, as I said, I didn't want it being the bright, shiny copper. And the frame was only like €3 or something like that. But what I did with the frame was, I was lazy. So, oh God, I think this has to be coming off in a minute. I was lazy, and I didn't want to go try and chalk painting, and I didn't have any metal paint downstairs like Rizola or any of the ones you can spray on metal. So I got out a couple of my permanent black markers. This one isn't a Sharpie, but a Sharpie might work as well. And I literally just zigzagged along and rubbed along with the Sharpie version permanent black marker, and didn't do it too dark or too dense so that you'd get a little bit of the, the rubbed effect, and just filled it in. And when it dried, yeah, there's nothing's coming off. Now, how long it lasts, I have no idea. We'll find out. But saying that, I mean, I could take it off with, I think it's isopropyl alcohol, or rubbing alcohol, as you call it. I think I'll take it off, or might be hairspray. I can't remember, but you can look up Country Stitchers. Liz talked about that in one of her videos, about trying to take ink and stuff and markers off things. So she has it. I have the video saved. But yeah, so that's October 31st by Blackbird Designs, and that was stitched 1/1 on a 32 count. It's a copper glitter fabric by Swigart, so you can see the copper glitter in it. Go back and look on Instagram where I've posted info about it, and there's a DMC variegated that I used as well. That's got the purple and the hunter's green. Actually, this is probably the best lighting now that there's daylight coming in, that you can see the colors. But I think it came out quite cute. And my question is actually, oh yeah, I'll show you the chart. Hang on. That's what Blackbird Designs did with the chart. They turned it into a bigger count, and they did it on, they used a Gentle Arts Onyx, and they used a different fabric. It's in the chart, and they turned it into a drum. Excuse the glare. And that's from the book Winds of Autumn by Blackbird Designs, their new one. So that was that fish, but I decided to do it on 1/1 just for the fun of it, to see how it came out. And it did take a little while, I must admit. Probably took half the time it took to do Lucky Days, but it was, the nice thing was it was only one thread, which was quite cool. So yeah, so that will be, once I repair the little movement and stuff. That is October 31st, but I think it'll be cute for Halloween. I'll pop it up. And it's not very Halloween-y or scary, but I think it kind of highlights the lovely design. So that's that. Oh yes, and also the question is, please leave in the comments below. I had done this little black bow, which looks like that, with a little button and a little bead on it. And I was wondering, and then I just tied a wee knot in the bottom and trimmed a corner. Please comment, do you think I should put it on a corner here? Oops, hang on, let me see. Or should I leave, glue it onto the corner? Or should I, just say like that? Should I glue it on the corner? I don't think it maybe might be so nice in the middle, but if anyone thinks it is, or on the other quarter, let me know and see what you think. Maybe it's too much, maybe we don't need it, or maybe it does add the extra little touch. I haven't got any spider webs or anything like that yet, but I didn't want to, I don't know, we'll see. Post what you think down below, please, and leave a comment. I'd love to read them. So that's October 31st, so I'll pop that over there for now. I'll stay in the frame and it'll get fixed. Excuse me. So the next thing is, oh yeah, lucky days. So I finished, I'll just pop this off. I just got it up here on spools at the moment, and there's a bit of wadding because I had hoped to put it on the mat board, the sticky board from last week. And then I realised I'd rather get this video out than be trying. I had cut out the wadding was underneath. I'd cut out the wadding and everything, and thought I'm going to be an hour or so trying to do this, and instead just give it a good press and just show you guys. And then the next video I'll have it finished. I think I might put a pom-pom trim or a little trim around the sides. But this is my chart Lucky Days that's in my Etsy store. It won't be in my Etsy store all year round, so if you like it, please grab one now, because once St. Patrick's, I have got more charts to create, but I'll probably pull this one off until maybe next year, or I might make it a limited edition. I don't know yet. But this is Lucky Days, and it's and I showed it in the last video, so I won't spend too long talking about it here. But may luck be with you all your days. But he's turned out so cute. And he's finally finished. And okay, the lighting might not be the best with the difference in lighting at the moment, but he came out so cute with the sparkle. There's sparkly little gold bits. Okay, the lighting's not showing the little gold sparkle. There's a gold, I used a DMC gold thread in the coins mixed in, and in his, the little brooch in his hat, and in the buckles of his shoes. And there's the little musical notes and the shamrocks and the border. And it's amazing actually how delighted you feel when you're stitching the border and it joins up. And I actually stitched the border with the two threads at the same time. So I had two needles going. And so I'd run along with the holly, which is Classic Colourworks. It's the only over dyed in the chart. The rest is all DMC. I'd go a little bit further with the holly, and then I'd catch up on another needle with the other DMC, which is a variegated one. And I was able to kind of do the whole border. I've got a bit of wadding behind, you can see. I did the whole border as I went along. So that was quite nice. And I mean, at one point I went over 3 holes and then realized the nice thing was that when I was lining them up, if you made a mistake here, you realized that one bit was shifted a bit, and you realized you hadn't done over 2, because I stitched this on a 32 count antique green marble. It's not the mint green one. It's more of a sagey green. I'll try and get a good photo of it in the, maybe that way would show it a wee bit better. It's more of a sagey green mottle. You can see a little bit of it there. Yeah, that's better. It's not the mint green one. It's an old one I got in some scrap bag on eBay. And I realized that you can tell quite easily if you're off, because the 4 here don't match the 4 there. Which is nice as you're stitching along, rather than going one colour the whole way round and then realise you're off somewhere. It's quite nice doing it with the 2 needles. You just got to tuck them out of the way when you're stitching so they don't get all caught on the back. But yeah, I'm delighted with it. It's lovely. And for the little musical notes, I don't know whether this is something people have already thought of or haven't thought of, but I oops, hang on, tangled in cables. There you go. I did the little musical notes. So you did your cross stitches. So, and I did a pin stitch to start, and I did a pin stitch to end. But when I did each square, I went up then across. So okay, I carried my thread, even though it's a light colored fabric. I thought, oh no, when I've got wadding on it, it'll be fine. I'm not bothered too much about seeing the tiny shadow through. But what I did was actually I did the crosses on the wee musical notes, and because there's a bit of back stitching, there's a little bit of back stitching just to bring it up to create the effect of the musical note. Instead of doing that later, what I actually did was I finished the stitches, did the little pin stitch and had it coming out, and I had 2 strands of thread. So I took the 2 strands off my needle and threaded one of those strands back onto my needle, looped it through and did the back stitch. I did the same with the other one, or you could use the same one and just tuck it through the stitch. Did the other back stitch and then looped it through, and then I finished off in behind. I ran that back stitch thread back through the other stitches a couple of times, and the same with the other one that was left. Even though it was secure with the pin stitch, I looped that through as well, and then cut off. So that saves you having to, you know, do the cross stitch and then go back and do back stitching separately where you're, you know, trying to do it. And I thought that was quite a good tip. It just dawned on me, it was the right color thread. It wasn't a different color thread in the little back stitch. And you were kind of back stitching just after you'd finished the cross stitch. Now I can explain it if anyone needs to know a bit more info, but it really is quite simple. So lucky day. So I'll do a FFO on that the next day, but I think it's come out cute. And actually, by back stitching the Celtic pattern on his coat, it really does pop. I was thinking, first of all, I charted it to back stitch, but then I thought, will I back stitch it? And then I said, oh, I'll give it a trial. And I really like the way it turned out. So that's, yeah, so that's the finish at least of this. And it's not the FFO. I'll have fun doing that with the sticky board. I think I'll try the sticky board out for that one and pop it up there. Right, let me just stick this up here for now. Okay. Stay. Be good. You're right. So that was that. Okay, what else have we got? A little bit about, I suppose, Ireland, you could say, if you want to listen. 37 minutes in, that's not too bad. I was rearranging up here a little bit more, not so much there, but I had my their old vintage thread cupboards, and I decided as well to put some over here that I could show in another video. So I took out my jars of buttons that I talked about in the last video, because one of the shelves I couldn't access the buttons as easy as I would have liked. So I actually put them in drawers upside down so that I could see when I look. So tighten the lids on tight and put them in drawers in another cupboard, and they fill 2 drawers, which is good. And I can see now when I need to pull stuff out for finishing where they are. So that was a little bit easier. Excuse me. But I found space for those other cupboards, the little MEZ ones they're called. They're Anchor bought over the company years ago. And okay, the hat is coming off now. Ugh, that's better, because it's right. So I'll just pop that there for now. And what was I going to say? I moved those around, and then I found a space in there. They stick out a little bit in the cupboard, but it'll be good. And I'm going to put Floss in there, so it'll be quite cool. But yeah, I picked this up in Dublin. Now, this is not anything to do with sewing, but I thought because it's St. Patrick's Day, I'd talk a little bit about something about Ireland. And this is just a wee stone that's from Newgrange. Now, Newgrange is a place in Ireland, and I went there when I was at school on a school trip. And in those days, it wasn't. They didn't have the big visitor centre that they have now. They didn't have. It was literally just the site in a field, and you went in, and they organised a tour, and you got to go there. And it's a bit like Stonehenge, that it involves the summer solstice and the lighting coming in through the chamber and lighting up, or coming in through the entrance and lighting up the whole chamber inside. And this little paperweight that I bought, native stone, it's limestone, is based on when I was there. I bought it in the gift store because I went back years later again to visit there, and it's beautiful now. I mean, the visitor centre is gorgeous with a restaurant and gift shop and everything, and it's the Celtic swirls. But I'll show you a little bit, and if you're not interested, just fast forward a few minutes. I'll show you. Hang on a second, bear with me, I've got it up here. Newgrange story, right? So you can go into newgrange.com, and it's a World Heritage site, and it's just trying to be brief now. I'll read out a little bit, but it's a 5,200-year-old passage tomb located in the Boyle Valley in Ireland's ancient east. And it was built by Stone Age farmers. The mound is 85 meters, 279 feet in diameter, and 13 meters, 43 feet high, an area about 1 acre. And there's a passage about 19 meters long, 62 feet, leads into a chamber with 3 alcoves. And the passage and the chamber are aligned with the rising sun around on the mornings around the winter solstice. Oh, sorry, not the summer one, the solstice. And then it's also got 97 large stones called curbstones around it. So if I scroll in here a little bit, you can see what the mound looks like. Now you can go on the site, it's just newgrange.com, and you can read a lot more about it. It was Neolithic in the Boyne Valley in County Meath, and it is a beautiful, there's a wee video as well that you can watch from the National Geographic and about it. But there you'll see a picture. Let me just see if I can get, oh, okay, no. I can't enlarge the stone. But you'll see the stone at the entrance. There you go. All right, maybe not see the swirls on it so much. No, you can't see the detail. Just go to the website and take a look. And, well, there you go. You'll see the stones, the swirls on it a wee bit more. Or the stones on the little memorabilia stone I have. So that's Newgrange, and if you ever do go to Ireland and get a chance, it's well worth a visit. It's beautiful. So that's just the wee stone. So, but just because it's St. Patrick's Day, I thought I'd pull out something, a little bit of interest about Ireland. And as I was sorting stuff up, I thought of that and thought, yeah, should just pass it on. So YouTube, okie doke, yes, 3 winners. I did the drawing on Sunday for the 3 winners for my last video, and you had to leave a comment called lucky in the comment box underneath, and you had to be a subscriber and like my video. Now I've pulled 3 winners. One thing to point out is, please, if you are a subscriber, could you please make your subscriptions public? So you can look on YouTube or in Google, how do you make your subscriptions public, that if you subscribe to someone, they can see that. Because I couldn't see all of the people, and I'll take a look during the week, and it is for subscribers. So please make, and everyone in general, basically, that do subscribe, if you can just, and you have the option of keeping some private, other ones public, you can choose. And country stitchers as well. Liz and Deb talk about that on their videos. If you go back a couple of videos, they talk about memory so often about how you do that on YouTube. Just Google it. How do I show that my subscriptions are public? And that way I can see if you're a subscriber. Because if you keep them private, I can't see that. And then in my eyes and in YouTube's eyes from my side, I don't know if you're a subscriber or not. That's the problem, even though you might be. And a lot of people are, because I've got 699 subscribers now, which is lovely. Trying to get there. 1,000 would be nice. 700 would be nice. It only takes one more. But yeah, it would be lovely. But for the giveaways, please make your subscriptions to here public so that I can see them and check, just to be fair. But the 3 winners on the random, and I used the random comment generator. The first person on that, there were 8 people that left a comment, and the comment was lucky. So the first person is Kay Walker, and she had just left the comment lucky. The second person is Helen Wiles, I believe. And her lovely comment was, "Hi, I was so lucky to come across your YouTube channel. I have only just got into cross stitching, so I'm still learning but hoping to get better. Thanks for your lovely channel." And that's Helen Wiles. There you are. I took a photo on the tablet from the laptop so that you know that I am using the random comment picker generator. And the other person is Carol, I think it is, Webster, who has actually messaged me on Instagram, and she seems such a nice lady, so I was delighted for you. And Carol said, "So glad to see you back. Lucky was I you mentioned my message," because I mentioned her wee comment last video. "As I don't have my own channel, I'd love to stitch your new sampler, but it would also be nice to see you had stitched it. Unless we're going to put the name on it, you could chart it first." And if you go back to the video before this one, which is video 4, I asked a question about your thoughts on charting some antique samplers that I have, and that was in reference to this. So go back and watch that one and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. So Kay, Helen and Carol, or Carole, please send me a message or an email on martinarooney@expandingstitches.com, or message me on Instagram if you want with your email address so that I can send you a copy of Lucky Days as a gift. And happy St. Patrick's Day to you. That's why I kind of waited until today instead of doing a video on Sunday. After all, I thought a video on Sunday and another one a couple of days later might be just what will I talk about, but I'm sure I'd have found something. So that's that little bit. So yes, and please make your subscriptions public and hit the notification button. And I would love if people could subscribe, please. It would be really nice. I'd love to have a load of subscribers so that I can give you some gifts and goodie bags in the future. So what have I been doing? And I'll try and rush this up because we're 45 minutes or 48 minutes. I don't want to keep it too long. What have I been doing? I have a load of Floss videos to catch up on. I've been watching definitely non-cross stitch. I've been binge watching Murdoch Mysteries on YouTube, and really enjoying them because I'd only ever seen a couple of them, and I like those kind of mysteries. Inspector Morris, Miss Fisher mysteries were my favorite. All the other ones, I've watched lots of them, and Murdoch Mysteries are ones that I hadn't seen, and so I've been watching those as I've been stitching Lucky Days and charting, listening to them, because if I listen to them, then I'll go back and watch them afterwards. But So I have a lot to catch up on Floss Tube, and there's been some new Floss tubers as well. I want to take a peek and take a look and see what theirs are. So I haven't got any call outs this week as regards new Floss tubers, just my regular old ones that I follow and a couple of other new people that I want to go and check out, but I haven't done so yet. So that's that as regards to Floss Tube. But yes, I'm hoping now the next day, this evening, I'm going to be able to catch up on the load. I thought I'll take a quick look on comments from the last video. Sandy had said, lovely to see you, the new podcast up. Really enjoy watching your channel. The sewing box is lovely. What a lucky find. It was really lucky find. I really liked that. Oh gosh, just Jennifer Kai. I cried laughing at this because she says, one of my highlights is coming to watch your videos. Your voice is so soothing and relaxing. I love hearing your stories. I had to laugh because with all the waffling last week for 20 minutes with the internet down, I was thinking that doesn't sound the most soothing. I would never have thought that, but thank you so much. That's lovely. Shirley Cox, which is an interesting, she's got the same surname as my friend Andy, said a lovely comment. Lovely to see you again, Martina. Beautiful stitching as always. Stay safe. Kaku, I'm not sure how you pronounce her. You think she said, I like long videos while I'm stitching and to listen to real life stories as well. And she said, I'll just skip through this. Your design's really lovely, makes me smile. Anyone lucky to stitch it. The 1901 sampler is really beautiful. I love the colours. And then she also said, I feel even more connected to the pieces when they've got info in them. But she understands that it takes time to find the information. But she also lives in Germany, in the very western part of Germany. So that was lovely. Bonita said, you've been missed. Love the little, I'm abbreviating them a little bit now rather than read out the whole thing. I would be there for a while. Love the little sewing basket with the cane design, and that was exactly what I couldn't remember the last video. It's like cane that you had in chairs. And it is a treasure, yes. And the little sewing machine, well, funny enough, I'm going to talk about that one now, Benita. George, which is Liz, also apparently was delighted that I mentioned her in the last video. Hi Liz, lovely to have another comment. And yes, life is difficult and little kind gestures make a difference. Nice to see you and read your comment again. Mary Fleming, oh yeah, she was lucky. Mary said she loved the latest design, and then she said a couple of years ago she was lucky to do a bike trip in Ireland, and they started in Galway and went on to the Aran Islands, Clifton, Kylemore Abbey, which is sort of the west coast of Ireland. No, turn this way around, so Galway's sort of down there, and then you do a loop right up to sort of Sligo, and it's the west coast. And that area is, and Clare is sort of the Connemara, well, Clare is more the Burren, which is the lime scale, Cliffs of Moher, etc. But the Galway section back is peat bogs and different areas. So a lot of the places she had pointed out are, she ended up in Westport through rural Connemara, which is peat, which is turf that they used to burn in your stoves and in your fires, and it's a lovely turf smell. It's a bit more restricted nowadays with the fossil fuel scenario, but Helen Wiles left a comment that I showed. Luann Scott asked about the ship sampler behind you. That's this one. I haven't had a chance this week to look it up, but this is actually I purchased this on eBay. Somebody had stitched it up. It's not old. It's only 1980, but that is actually from another designer at Chart. I think she just pulls models from, or pulls little motifs and stitched it up. I have to look up that one, but I think it's either a German or a Danish lady that charted that. Ooh, the sun is going down, so getting a bit of a glare. Is it better being forward or back? Maybe forward a bit more. Get a little bit of the sunrise going down. A lovely lady, Silver Moon Designs. Yeah, she's from Colorado. Hi, Silver Moon Designs, Trisha. Lovely comment, thank you so much. Blenda is from Guatemala, which I've never been to, on my list of places to visit. So thank you for your lovely comment. Carol left her comment, which was so nice. Sonia likes the details and she loves donkeys, which is, thank you so much. That was a really lovely comment. Chris has a son-in-law that's Irish. Hey, good for you. Patchy Stitch Pony said she's so glad Country Stitches shouted you out. She enjoyed the video and her mother is born in Ireland and she'd love to go someday. And Karen Dennis said, yeah, lucky I found your cross stitch channel. So thank you for all the lovely comments. I won't read out every single comment if we get loads, but do leave a comment, and if one strikes my fancy, then I'll read it out. So next thing, vintage treasure. I think I'll pull this one out next, and I got to keep an eye on the time, so I might have to rush up a little bit, but this is a gift that was given to me, and it's a children's Singer sewing machine, hand crank machine, and it works perfectly. I'm just in one hand, it's hard to do, you need the weight of it. It actually stitches, and it's cast iron. It stitches a chain stitch. So okay, maybe on the back. You see it, this one? Not so well. Wait on a second. Not so, yeah, you could maybe see at the very top there, right at the very, very top. It's a little chain stitch, the way it stitches up. And that's an original. It's quite hefty. It works perfectly. It's a hand crank. I just want to put it flat before I'd start cranking it. And that was a gorgeous gift from my friend Andy, as I can't remember whether it was a birthday present. I think it was a birthday present or a gift. And I was delighted. And it came from, which is such a surprise, it actually came in the original box, which is this one, which is well and truly battered. I actually just sellotaped on the lid, and that was the original children's little red, and it was the German text, and that's the back of the box, and the wee boxes, and it comes with, that's the old original instructions, which are quite cool. It's the way it looked. And I know the year, but I've forgotten, and I forgot to take a note of it. It gives all the instructions in German on the old, and then their typical, that's the Singer one, their typical advertising on the back. And it came with a few little accessories, some little old vintage Singer needles, whoops, paper's disintegrating, and also the clamp. So what you do is you put it on the table or the tabletop, and you actually clamp it in place, and then you can crank away, and it makes a little chain stitch. But the old Singer machines were absolutely beautiful. I mean, Singer had a fantastic reputation before. It's not quite the same quality anymore as it used to be, unfortunately. They converted a lot of their parts to plastic. So, but the old vintage sewing machines, I have two. I'm looking for a featherweight to use for quilting, which is just a straight stitch. It's fully functional, so I'm looking out for one of those. But I've got two other 201K vintage sewing machines that I might show at some point, but I'll have to lug them up because they're down in the living room and put them here, and they're not exactly something you can lift in front of the camera. But one's cast iron and the other one's aluminium, and I called one of them Butte and the other one Brute. So Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. Or Brute, what did I call them? Beast? Yeah, no, exactly. Brute and Beast, but they're beautiful. I love the machines. They're gorgeous. So that's a little bit about the children's sewing machine. That's my vintage treasure. Haul. I don't have a lot of haul. I'm trying to be good and not get a lot of charts. When I was in that little shop yesterday, I popped into that place I was talking about, and I was grabbing some little Easter eggs and a few little Easter knickknacks that were there while I had the chance. It was nice to see them. But I found a bundle of chenille wool, and I thought, like, it's lovely, look. I thought that would be really nice for finishing or trimming just around the edges of things. And it's chenille wool, and it was only €2.99 for, like, God knows how much. I have no idea. Let me see. It's polyester, we know. I don't know how many meters is it. Well, it's a big bundle. No idea. So I got it in that color green, and I also got it in the black, which would be quite nice for Halloween and stuff, I thought, which would be lovely. So I got those. And then I picked up a piece of this, actually, just to play with. And I thought this would be quite good to dye as well for finishing. But it's also a wool, but not a wool, it's a yarn. Sorry, if it's polyester, it can't be a wool, but it's a yarn. And it's got a little fringy, twisty effect. So you could, like, unwrap it, and it's like a fringe of franz, and put it around things, or even twist it up really tight that it, like, gathers up and you've got a fluffy look. And I thought that would be quite useful, so I just grabbed that for finishing. And the fact that it's white as well, I can also dye it, which is quite cool. So, and then a little bit of haul. Andy surprised me yesterday evening. He actually dropped off. I had told him to, oh gosh, the sun. Okay, it's sunset at the moment. So let me maybe move over here a little bit more so that it's not quite so bright. Might be better. The sun's coming down. Okay, so just bear with me. Oh, back again. I had to pause the video because the doorbell rang, and two guests popped in. One of them my friend Andy, and another lovely lady called Justina. And so you can tell by the lighting that the sun's gone down, and it's actually 2 hours later. So apologies for the pause in between. But I didn't really want to film when there were other people in the house, because it's nerve-wracking enough filming into a camera without having friends and people watching and listening to you babble away. So where was I? I had just done the haul the vintage treasures, exactly, and I wanted to talk a little bit about haul. And haul/gifts, actually, because yesterday evening I got a little bag that I was helping my friend Andy, because he's got a cat bed, and the foam on the cat bed, you know, the little thin foam that is in one of these tower cat beds, was getting a bit thin. And I said, oh well, I've got a wool blanket thing, and I'll just cut out the shape of it, and we'll get it to slip inside the covers that he already has. And he just dropped those round, and before he had left, I happened to just look inside the bag and said, okay, I'm going to take those out and leave them on the top. I know it's really easy. I just have to plonk them on the wool coverlet I have, cut around, and then do a binding, and they're just like a filler in between. that he can put inside the covers. And inside was an envelope, and I was like, oh, what's this? And he was just like quite sheepish, and I opened it up, and the sweet dear had seen. I mean, he is wonderful, and I know I keep mentioning him, but he is one of my four best, really best friends, among other close friends. But because he lives in Berlin, yeah, we're not that far away from one another, so we see one another so regularly. He had seen on my first video that I found it a bit tricky getting Blackbird designs and patterns, and they do take a while to arrive, and he went on to a website and ordered me some. So this is kind of haul / gifts. I mean, I've done a little bit of the haul as regards the wool, or yeah, yarn, not wool, yarn. But this was the first one, but I thought I'd share them because yeah, I think they're lovely, and I'll definitely stitch them. I might even start some of them soon. As I said, in Mania, I'm thinking of joining in and starting the chaos of Stitch Mania this year, where you have like so many new projects and stuff to start, which will be definitely a challenge. But this was the first one out of it, and it's Blackbird Designs. Now, I haven't looked up whether these are still available. I don't know. I'm guessing they are. But it was Farmhouse, and it's Blackbird Designs Anniversaries of the Heart Pattern 5. It's a very cute house, and I think it'll be very nice. And it's what's the stitch? 75 by 85, so it's not too big. It's nice. There's a whole, you can do it in a whole big piece, reading through it last night that I was doing, where they have January, February, and it goes all the way through to December, and a couple of bonuses. I think I'll just stitch it in little smalls, and I might stitch it on something like 40 count or 36 count, or even higher, that it's like a little mini one. So that was Farmhouse, which is so cute. And the next one I do think is very, very pretty, which is Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. So there you are. Isn't that a beautiful sampler? I think that's really lovely. I love the way there's the juxtaposition of the giant bird and the flowers, and it's like inspiration from old samplers that you see, because I've got quite a few of the old vintage sampler patterns and things, and you see the inspiration designers take from those, and it's lovely, so nice. That design size is 175 by 221, so I'm not going to show the chart. Lots of weeks dye works, gentle arts, one or two classic color works in that pattern. Some of them I don't have, so I might have to order if I want to copy it exactly as charted, as the designer charted. But that's a lovely one. Really nice colors. And as you can tell, yes, it's dark. The sun is gone down and it's dark now, which probably isn't a bad thing, because the glare wasn't used to filming at that time of night, and the glare was unusual, the way it kind of reflected through the glass. So maybe the little pause isn't such a bad thing. The next one is something tiny modernist, and it's pretty. I'm not sure if I'll stitch all of them, but I think I'll stitch a couple of them. I think I'll change the colors. In a sense, I think I'd like to do my own color conversion on those, because they're not quite the colors I would choose. But it's tiny modernist, seasonal trees, and there's no accreditation. I've no contact with any of these companies. But I just thought I'd share you. It's quite pretty. Quite like that. I mean, my nickname is sort of the leaf lady, because of a whole story about me and leaves and trees, so that's quite nice. So it's yeah, they're about 70 by 70 each, which is nice and small. I think that's quite cute, but I do think I'll change the colors in them. But I think that I really like that. I think it's very pretty. Seasonal trees. And then he had also got me the book that I already have, but no harm in having a second copy, and I might even give my original copy away as a giveaway in a later video. I wouldn't give away this one because it was a gift. The other one I purchased, so I might give away the other one in a giveaway later on. And that's The Winds of Autumn that I did the October 31st. So that was just such a wonderful, sweet surprise. And it did take a while because he'd ordered them from the States, and I was giving off about like, oh gosh, all the custom charges and everything else. But that was just such a wonderful surprise to have, and really lovely. And I've also purchased another vintage sewing box that's a really unusual design that I really liked, and on the secondary market. And I'll try and show that in the next couple of videos. I need to give it a bit of a clean at the moment. I'm not going to change anything with it with the color. I just want to clean up the wood and tidy it up a little bit and just make sure it's, you know, dust free and grime free, and then join my home so it's sitting in the kitchen ready for a clean, and with some wood cleaner, and I'll show you that in the next one. But before I finish, even though it's darker, I mean, I could ramble on for hours, but then I really would like to upload this video by the end of St. Patrick's Day, because it's been a fun day. I thought I'd give a little tip. Funnily enough, I've heard about years ago, people used to use painter's tape to stop the edges of their fabric fraying while they're stitching. And sometimes I run the fabric through if it's a bigger piece, I'll run it through my sewing machine just on a zigzag stitch, just to stop the edges fraying. I don't have an overlocker yet. It is on my wish list. That, you know, really neatens it up lovely. But sometimes I just grab a piece of fabric, and if it's big enough, like this one was, it was like a good 3 inches bigger, and I knew I want to put it in a kind of a flat fold type style. And being a quilter, I know I can work with 1/4 of an inch. So I wasn't worried about a bit of fraying down. I'd left lots of room. But I'd seen on Facebook and on different websites that years ago people used to kind of put a tape of some sort, like a painter's tape, around the edges of their fabric. And I do believe, not being an expert in cross stitch, I do believe that works quite well. My word of caution is that make sure that you've got an excessive amount. So if you want to leave your 3-inch border around, like on the little charts and the little guides that they give for framing, leave 3 inches space, then put the tape definitely outside of that. Because even painter's tape, I realized that I had assumed was a non-really sticky tape. It's not like duct tape or packaging tape, you know, the brownie stuff and the silver stuff or whatever. It's the painter's tape that you're supposed to put on the wall. Well, I do. You put on the wall, you paint over, you strip off a line, pull it off again to get a crisp line. And it's a not very tacky glue. But I had actually used that in my living room. And there's different ones. There's frog tape, there's the pink German tape that gives a really crisp line, etc. Lots of them, they're called painter's tape, really. And I had used a little bit of that to tape up the cables behind my TV, so that they wouldn't be seen, because in my living room there's an area that, like, the TV is, and then there's two glass doors, which I now have on one of the shelves, the two vintage Singer sewing machines I talked about, the 201Ks that stitch beautiful straight stitches. I've moved those into the living room under the TV cabinet area, and but I had tied up some of the cables from the TV so they weren't visible with a bit of the painter's tape just to kind of keep the cords together. And the other day I was in changing around that sort of arrangement on, decor in the living room. And I moved some of the adapters and the extension cables around and moved the light around in the living room. And therefore the cables needed to be unplugged and replugged into another extension cord. And I was unwrapping some of them and I couldn't believe how, whether it was to do with heat or time, now they've been tied up in that painter's tape about 4 years, I'd say. 3 to 4 years. When I went to pull that tape off to unbundle the cord little bundle I'd done, oh my Lord, the painter's tape even was a complete sticky mess. It was so gummy and so sticky and horrible, and it was all over my hands, and I was pulling it off the cables, and in the end I had to get like rubbing alcohol to kind of just clean it all off. So my thoughts are, and I haven't done it with cross stitch because I generally just don't, I either zigzag or not. If you do the old style like they used to, I think in the 70s, 80s, I'm not sure, excuse me, put painter's tape or masking tape or anything like that around your edges. Make sure you're doing it on the part that you're definitely not going to be using in any way in framing, the excess that'll get hidden. Because if you leave it for a long time in a whip or anything else, you could end up with that horrible gummy sticky mess. And I was really surprised because I didn't expect it to go all gummy and sticky, and you'd imagine sellotape will either fall off or other tapes, and masking packaging tape definitely, and duct tape, yes, but I didn't expect the really good quality painter's tape to end up like that it really disintegrated and went horrible. So just be a wee bit careful. Go and check in your stash if you've got any projects that you ever did that with that have been lying there for a long time, and just make sure and maybe get rid of it. I'm sure it'll maybe wash out, and if it's not on an area you're going to use, you can always lob it off with the scissors or with a rotary cutter or whatever. But that's something I was surprised about, and just wanted to pass on the info. And the other little tiny little trick kind of tip before I finish, because I'm going to finish in a moment now, or else the video will be too long, and I don't want it to be too long, and I will try and post more regularly. I'm not on a regular schedule yet, but I will do. Is the concept of like wetting your floss to get some of the kinks that you might have out of it, or dampening your floss, your thread, your embroidery thread, to get some of the kinks that might be in it from bobbinating or from scrunching up or any reason. And what I did was, I knew I wanted, you can run it over a damp sponge. And when I was in the drugstore, the DM drugstore, picking up shampoo and bath oils and everything else, they were selling like little sponges. Now, they're not natural sponges. You can buy the natural sponges that are probably even better. These are manufactured ones. And I realized that I had a little tub. I was trying to think of something that wasn't very deep, that was quite flat. You could use the Pringles lid as well and just glue it in there, and then it's kept. But I wanted something that would maybe keep the moisture in. So look look at home for any old containers that you might have. This container I have here was actually out of curved quilting pins, and I'm not sure if they were Prim or what other brand. They use these containers for corsage pins, for quilting pins, for lots of other things. And I had some quilting pins. I know they definitely come in the curved quilting pins. I bought a little set when I first started quilting before I got the long arm, and I was doing free motion quilting on my normal sewing machine, which is like the one I have is a FFO Quilt Ambition 2. Yeah, it's the 2. It's not even the latest and it's not the oldest, it's the 2. And it's a wee workhorse, and I'm quite happy piecing along with that. No need to go to anything more at the moment. And as I said, I've got a super duper long arm machine from APQS, and I love my little faff, and it likes me, so that's the good thing, because sewing machines can be temperamental. They have their own personality, and my wee faff is great. But before I done long arm, I had done free motion on, your sewing machine bed, etc., which is a different world to long arm quilting, but the idea is it's the same movement in a sense that you're creating designs just when you've got a domestic sewing machine, which is you often see abbreviated in sites as DSM, which is a home sewing machine. You're moving the fabric sandwich under the needle and moving it around, and quilting gloves really help with that to get it moving. On a long arm, it's the opposite. On a long arm on a frame, because you're moving the machine around, which has got its own scenario. A long arm quilting is a different world from domestic sewing machine quilting, in the sense that you're regulating your own tension. It's a whole other world, and a wonderful world, but it's just, you just can't jump straight away into it. It's better always to do classes and courses, etc. But I bought some quilting pins. Brilliant, the curved quilting pins, so you can unclip them. You can use safety pins. It's just with the wee curve on them, it makes it easier to close them and open them in the wee quilting sandwich. So you've got your quilt top, you've got your wadding or your batting, and the next layer, and then you've got your backing fabric as the quilt sandwich, as we call it. And I bought some quilting pins, a couple of packets, and they came in this little container. Now, I can't remember what manufacturer they would be. Prim, they could have been Clover. I haven't looked it up. You'll know them when you see them. They generally come in these containers, and they're great. But I've got all of those stuck in a little magnetic scoop little bowl that sits on my long arm. If I do want to throw in another one, or I'm doing anything on the sewing machine that I want to secure them. But I found the wee sponges in the cosmetic store, and they were just pink, nothing fancy. They just happened to be pink. They were in yellow as well. And I wet it, and I didn't even glue it in. I just squished it in that it had kind of was level with the top. And I moistened it with, I used distilled water, because then you're not worrying about it maybe going moldy or anything like that. And I used distilled water in my iron so I don't have rust, because over in Berlin we've a lot of hard water, a lot of lime scale, and you tap water. You need to filter everything. You need to put tabs in your washing machine, your dishwasher, or else everything will block up. And so for anything that's like the iron, I've destroyed so many irons over the years that now I only put distilled water in all my irons. And even filtered water doesn't necessarily get the calcium out, the calc, as they call it, or calcium hydroxide, I can't remember. But the lime scale basically out of the water. But this little thing, I just bought the little, and these little sponges were like, oh, I don't know, 2 for 50 cents. And I just wet it and popped it in there, and it's amazing, they stay moist, you know, you don't want them drowned, and that's quite airtight. And then you just run your, I don't have any threads with me here actually, but you just stick your one finger on there and pull your floss across it, across your thumb, so that it presses in, and then it'll help knock out any of the kinks that you might have in bobbinated thread or anything like that. But the nice thing about it is you can hang it on one of the little metal rings. You can throw it on a carabiner in your bag, and you can pop it in just a wee pocket, and it generally, if you, I mean, unless you flood it with water, it's not going to leak, it's just damp. So that's just a wee tip. So I quite liked that little container. It's only a tip. It don't, you'll find something else at home, I'm sure, that would work. And just there's a nice, easy way of removing those. And you might have them in your sewing studio, stitching studio. And as I said, they come in different pins, quilting pins, corsage pins, different things. Take the pins out, put them where you need them, pop them in a pin cushion, pop them in a cross stitch pin cushion, and use the container. So that was just my another little tip. I've got lots of them, but yeah. So that was the sponge, and then not a lot of shamrocks, as you can see. And if I'd had a little bit more time, as I'm not the best organized with time, in fairness, it's Easter in a couple of weeks, but I do have a few wee Easter decorations I'm going to pop up. But shamrocks, no, hard to get over here, and with COVID and everything else, and my parents normally send me shamrocks, but yeah, it's a crazy year, so we couldn't get around that. These are fake, but they kind of look, they're plastic, but they kind of give the effect of a little gigantic bush of shamrocks. But I have to point this out because I do love it and I do treasure it. Not that I'm into covering the whole flat with Irish stuff. I'm not. As I said, I like Art Deco, I like ethnic, I like a multitude of things on my travels, but I did really like this, and I use it for a multitude of things. It's actually, I store unused paintbrushes in here. I stuff stuff into it. I actually just pulled this from the kitchen that was sitting on a shelf, which has got like the little watering can thing stuck in it that I got in flower bouquet, and I just thought, oh, it'll look cute for the video, keeping it real and being honest. This whole video is about being honest. And by the way, I looked in the mirror when I paused it and realized the big shadow of mascara that it hurt for me being all teared up giggling, so apologies by that. People will be thinking I had a black eye. I think I need to get a waterproof mascara. The one that I thought was okay isn't. I've discovered, so I think my next thing is get a waterproof mascara that will get all giggly and teary-eyed. It's not going to run. So I threw a bit of makeup over that. But this was down in the kitchen. I just thought it would look cute for Paddy's Day and the video. Keeping it real. I don't see the point of not keeping the world real on things you do. Why not just be like that? And but it's a lovely container with the shamrocks in. It's Irish, and the basket weave, which is obviously so popular. And I'm not endorsed by the company, but it's Bleak. My mum and dad bought it. Oh gosh, there is still stuff inside. That's the make. It's Bleak. They're a very famous brand in Ireland as regards their pottery, and they have some really beautiful modern ones as well. A lot of the Bleak, that's a little bit more traditional than the Bleak, but they've got some beautiful modern pieces. My mum and dad bought me a lamp that's like a a Christmas tree shape that you put a bulb inside and it lights up, and it's very modern in a cream. They have a wonderful range of modern beliques that are lovely. And that's a little bit more the traditional, but I did love the shamrock, and it always sits somewhere on a shelf because I've got more shelves in that direction. And I use it for a multitude of things, but I just thought, oh, I'll plonk the little plant pot from the kitchen in there because it's kind of got a shamrocky look. Kind of, use your imagination. And yeah. So I think that's it before the video gets too long with all my ramblings. I could talk for hours, but yeah, so I'm going to get back to Birdsong 1 and get more stitching on that now that I've finished Lucky Days. And so go ahead to my Etsy store if you want to grab Lucky Days. I'll be taking it down next month and grab a PDF version of that. Because next year I'll have a different one for St. Patrick's Day, and I'll get a couple more designs out. I'm charting Andy's sampler next, the one that I showed in the last video. I'm charting that up and trying to do a little bit of research on it. We'll see what happens with the research, but at least I can get the chart out, is what I thought, for people that would like to stitch it, because it's gorgeous and the colours are lovely. So I'm going to work on that and maybe do stitch along, and we'll see how that goes. But yes, so that's all from me at the moment. And yes, please leave a comment down below. It's lovely connecting with you. I love reading your comments, whether long or short or anything you like to say. Be kind, be nice. Please do subscribe. I'd love to have more subscribers because it feels like a big family of people I know. And hit the little notification button. And as I said, I'm not going to put ads on for another wee while because, yeah, then you don't need to worry about trying to skip ads and stuff at this point. And yeah, and I'll release another couple of designs. I've got a few more starts I'm going to do of other people's designs, and I'm working on charts, but because of the Needlework Expo and everything, I think everybody's going to be all excited about that. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy watching all the other designers and their releases and picking what I'd like to purchase from them and support them as well. And yeah, and then when I chart my sampler, I'll pop the next one out, and I might pop out a couple of little small ones in between, but I'll keep you posted. And if anyone wants to be a model stitcher, I know I have one lady that would like to, please let me know. And if anyone likes researching samplers, please also let me know. Message me, leave a message in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, that we can organize something with that, because I will need model stitchers in the future for all my designs, and I'd love to give you credit to your wonderful stitching that you can do. So that's it for this little floss tube, and thank you for your patience, thank you for my bearing with me, and once again, lovely being here and looking forward to hearing from you and reading your comments and everything else. Keep well, keep safe, and happy stitching. All the best. Till the next time. Bye.